All right. So what am I actually using here, right, for hardware on my side? I'm using 5 PCs, one my main machine, and then I'm also using 4 potato PCs. So my main machine is kind of old at this point, even so, but it still works good. I'm using an i7 third gen processor, but I do have 32 gigs of memory on there and a 2070 graphics card. So it plays WoW pretty well. If when I'm just playing this one instance, I can play on default 7 settings within World of Warcraft and Shadowlands, and I get about 85 to 90 FPS, which isn't amazing, but as far as I'm concerned, it's nice. Now, what is a potato PC, right? Like what am I using here that I would call a potato? So a potato PC is something that's about 5 years or older. Something that's pretty much you're not going to find in any kind of store, right? It's going to be either refurbished, renewed, or it's just something laying around that's in pieces, and you got to kind of like bring it back to life. So what kind of potato PCs did I use? I grabbed some i5s that I had laying around, and they're third gen, fourth gen processors, fifth gen even then. But when we're talking about gens, I'm using Intel as the example. Right now, we're currently at 10th gen Intel processors. Now these are third gen, so we're saying like these are 7 generations ago processors, but they'll totally still play WoW on there. And when I've gotten in game, I've gotten actually 70 FPS with decent graphic settings using this. So what I did on these though is I had 8 gigs of memory. Any kind of solid state drive is totally fine. You can get, as long as you can have Windows on there and you can have World of Warcraft installed. I mean, you can get a very small solid state drive. It doesn't have to be anything blazing fast. There's a lot of options out there for that. The big piece that I put in these machines that made them kind of work really well is the 1030 NVIDIA graphics card. Now these are running on Amazon right now as of this posting at about $88, somewhere in there is what I purchased them for. They may end up going cheaper or higher, but for right now, this graphics card, while it's on the entry level line for a lot of graphics cards, it plays World of Warcraft very, very smoothly, and it's made me very happy with the performance as far as a potato PC goes. I was not expecting anything near this. I was expecting to get like 15 FPS, and these things are getting 70 FPS in town. So that's my potato PCs as well as my main PC. That's the hardware I'm using. I'm using 5 machines, and that's kind of their specs right there. All right, so now I want to show you the other pieces that I'm using, which are, let me switch my screen here. We have the NVIDIA 1030 card. This is what I just mentioned. This is the exact one I got, so if you're just looking for a reference there, it's the Gigabit NVIDIA GeForce GT 1030 2 gig graphics card. The other items I'm using, I am actually using 2 of these. I'm waiting for one actually in the mail that's going to arrive today when I'm making this. This is the 8-port KM switch, synchronous controller switch. So this allows me to control and switch between all my 5 computers via the keyboard and mouse. It's not a KVM. There's no video in this. It's just keyboard and mouse control. And I have one that's controlling, that I use a keyboard that I can control my 5 machines, and then I'm getting a second one so I can partition off the mouse, and the mouse can just control the 4 because the screen sizes and everything, it gets a little wonky on that part, but I'll show that a little bit later. But for right now, my layout is using 2 keyboards and 2 mice. With my second keyboard is basically just for my main machine to tie things together. And the other item I'm using here is a HDMI switch. Which takes it's a 4-in-1 quad multi-viewer. Now there's a couple different options here. This is the one I got. It seemed to be the most cost effective on there. What this does is it basically it kind of consolidates things down, right? You don't want I didn't want a lot of screen real estate. When I was first looking at this, I thought, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to have 6 monitors because I have 2 for my main, and then I need 4 extra monitors. So this basically allowed me to just use 3 monitors on there, and so I have one monitor that basically has 4 inputs into it and is broken into smaller quadrants. So you can see, I think there's a little picture here, and I'll show you what mine looks like in a second. But you can see on this one right here, this piece, like imagine it's broken into 4 different quadrants. So you can have like a computer 2, 3, 4, and 5 all on one nice and easy screen. So you can still view them at a glance, and you can also click on. It has a remote control. You can click on the the buttons there to make it bigger if you need to see one of them bigger. Currently, right now, I'm using a 24-inch monitor for this, so I have three 24-inch monitors. I'm contemplating using a bigger monitor for this, or even potentially a TV. I'm looking at maybe like a 32-inch. The screen sizes are a little small to be able to view them properly. But for right now, it's getting the job done, and I'm still able to multi-box and function in that regard. And then the last item that I got was this right here, this new keyboard. I've never had a nice keyboard before, so it's really nice to have one that feels great. I've never even actually used a mechanical keyboard before. I've always just used like generic membrane keyboards. So it's very new to me, but it feels great. I wasn't too thrilled with the clackety clackety. I've tried a couple different ones, but I'm really happy with this one. It's low profile, which is the style I like. It doesn't make a lot of noise, but it gets the job done. And the main piece here, though, is you want a keyboard that has onboard memory on it. So when you want to make macros, those macros actually work. An example of a macro is trying to not have to do like certain hotkeys. So the example, the KM switch I'm using, right? If you want to swap to a different screen on there, or if you want to have the input of your mouse to go from number 2 to number 4 or something like that, right? There's a hotkey for that, but the hotkey isn't literally just pushing a button. It's like a combination of buttons. Let's say like Windows key 5 or something like that, right? But instead of having to hit Windows key 5, it'd be nice just to be able to hit a button, right? Like hit like numpad 5 and said, boom, it's over there. So this accomplishes that because when you plug in the keyboard and mouse into one of these KM synchronizers, at least or the ones I'm using, right? Or the KM switch, the computer itself only reads it as a generic device. Like it doesn't see it as like something like that. So it won't recognize it, and you can't use any kind of software on there. Which in some cases is probably better. And when you think about it, because the whole goal is we're making sure that we're moving ourselves away from any type of software, so that Blizzard in general is not getting or maybe even potentially flagging this, right? Like everything we're using is hardware, so there's no actual issue there. We're staying within the terms of service as currently they've laid them out. So those are all the new pieces I've gotten on there, and I can show you right now how that all flows together. All right, I just made took a photo and wanted to show you exactly what I see currently on my side. I tried to make it as clean as possible. There's a lot of spaghetti wires under the desk. For all intents and purposes, though, this is what it looks like on my side. Now, I do take the keyboards and I kind of stack them so the current one that's in the middle pushes up forward more, and then the Cooler Master one I'm using is closer to me sitting in there. So that's like a 1-2, like a boom boom like that. Other than that, that is what the current layout looks like. You can see that there is the quadrant of the 4 machines on the far left, and then there's my main machine, and on the second one on the side is what I'm using to look at when I'm streaming, to look at chat, and also to look at OBS and things like that, or just web pages in general on there. But so main screen, World of Warcraft, and then the screens on the left of the 4 quadrants, they're all World of Warcraft, just in smaller pieces. And you can make those, you can hit some modes to make them bigger or whatnot. But for the grand scheme of things, this is what this looks like. All right, now the last product I'm using is a software product called Synergy, and I'll show you what it looks like right here. All right, so this is their website. This is basically a software-based KM switch. Now, you don't necessarily have to have this. This is more of just a quality of life improvement for me. Doing all this, I used it a long time ago in the past. But what this allows me to do is move between the screens through software, but Synergy specifically does not have the ability to mirror keystrokes to multiple windows at the same time. It's just a 1-to-1 ratio. This one is paid. There's a free alternative to it called Barrier, Barrier, and there's also a bunch of other products out there that are great, like example is Input Director. But all the other products I looked at had the ability to broadcast your keystrokes to multiple windows or instances at the same time, and that's something that we're actively trying to avoid right now. So it's actually a feature we don't want to have at the moment, so we can completely stay away from that. And again, this isn't something you have to have as well. I used it a long time ago in the past, and the reason I'm using it now is just, again, for quality of life, like a huge benefit, right? Say I make a macro, an in-game macro in WoW on my main machine, I can literally copy the macro, and then I can hit a button or move my mouse over to the other screen and then paste it, and it's instantly there. So it's a very quick setup on things like that. It makes things a lot easier. But again, it's not something you have to have. It just kind of completes my setup. And this overall is my my current setup for hardware with a little bit of software mixed in, just a smidgen, but you don't have to have it. And I feel at this point I'm about 80% maybe of what I was using completely full software. I'd say 80%. I can still do the same kind of content I was doing, just maybe not that as a high of a level, but I think we'll get there once the muscle memory kicks in. So this kind of concludes the hardware piece of it. The next piece, we'll delve into how it's all functioning, how it all kind of like meshes together in the game. So stay tuned.